putting your little heart on there is great, but like supporting the restaurants, because that's really what it's all about. I will say this, there's a lot of times that I've had an opportunity to go into a shopping center or go into a location, and I've been, cut out by a bigger, they've got a little bit more capital and it's like, yeah, but what are they doing for the area? Like nobody wants another one of those places in there. So
We
I
don't
think
need
that
another furniture store.
everybody needs to realize
What the hell are we doing? Today we're joined by someone who's had a huge impact on the Naples food scene. Chef Jeff Mitchell is the owner of The Local, one of Southwest Florida's most well-known farm-to-table restaurants. But his journey started long before Naples. Growing up in Detroit in an Italian family that owned an award-winning restaurant, cooking has always been a part of his life. From attending the Culinary Institute of America to training at the Ritz-Carlton, working his way through restaurant management and eventually opening The Local in 2013, Jeff has built a restaurant centered around fresh ingredients, supporting local farmers, and creating food that's both healthy and incredibly flavorful. He's also a husband, a father of 3 boys, and someone who's been a part of the Naples community for more than 20 years. Jeff, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We're
Appreciate it.
so happy you're here.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, all right. You're a chef. The Local is one of my personal favorite restaurants. I remember when it opened because I used to go to Steamers a lot. They're next door. And I think it's safe to say it was the first of its kind in Naples. Naples has grown so much in the past, 13 years you've been open. But at the time, this whole farm to table thing in Naples, Florida was like unheard of. And I don't know if there's any other place that was doing it at that time. Is that correct to say?
I mean, I guess in Naples, I don't know, I guess when I went to culinary school, all they were talking about was like chefs like Alice Waters, Suzanne Goyne, like a lot of people in California that were doing the farm to table thing. And I feel like California has, in a way, a leg up just because they have a large growing season comparatively to where I was from in Detroit.
Right.
But
Right.
we started going to farmers markets and seeing, just that essentially that wasn't true here. We were able to get, a good 9 months of growing season out of the year and maybe a little bit more. And so, I had worked with the D'Amico group for 10 years and I really loved working with them. And through that process, I just kept thinking to myself, like, why don't we have more of this farm to table thing? There are farmers markets. There's a market for it. There's farmers that want to bring their produce to restaurants, and we're, not just restaurants at the time we're buying from different big box, Cisco and things along that line.
Right.
Which for consistency is understandable, but it's really just about the relationship and expanding the relationship. So for us, I just kept thinking along those lines, like, this is what I was taught in culinary school. This is really what we should be doing. And we were making connections along the way with some of these farmers just for like our own, my wife and I were buying like community supported agriculture boxes, like CSA boxes, mostly from Warden Farms, which is like in the Sarasota area. And through going to the farmers markets, we started talking to different farmers, one of which I still deal with to this day. His name is Nick Batty, who's just right down the road actually at Ignoni Farms. And he does organic, produce. And so for me, it was just kind of natural. The big fish that was in town was like Chilean sea bass. Everybody was buying Chilean sea bass at the time. And I just kept scratching my head and saying, we have a ton of stuff in the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah. Why aren't we buying stuff
Florida
that's
grouper,
here rather than something that's 3,000 miles away? So there was a lot of that. I feel like, I was just sort of, I don't want to say I was ahead of the curve, but we were definitely at the right place at the right time.
Certainly.
But I will say like Frank Oakes was doing stuff with, Food and Thought, which was really cool too, So I had a lot of respect for what he was doing. And there were people that were working for him that I was buying from and dealing with when we first got started. So
yeah, certainly like Food and Thought. And again, first of its probably, one of a kind. But as far as The Local, I mean, to go into a restaurant and have a dining experience versus, you're shopping and you can grab a quick casual. You have this perfect blend, and I've been there for both lunch. I've been there brunch, lunch, and dinner. You don't do breakfast, right?
No.
Okay. Brunch is weekend, Saturday, Sunday.
Just Sundays.
Just
yeah.
Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But to have an experience where you can eat healthy. You could also have a mimosa or a tasty beer, a glass of wine, and you can dine with your family, and it's just this comfortable place where you don't necessarily have to be dressed up like all these, fancy things that Naples has evolved to. But it's also a level up from fast casual food and thought.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's this, which is perfect.
It's
Like we
fine
need
balance
more
of
of
it.
that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you were, at least in my perspective, you were one of the first of its kind, and to be a restaurant owner, and only you can speak to this because I don't have that experience, is a huge undertaking, and to make it last and to be so successful. 13 years owning a restaurant in Naples. What is that like?
I don't know. That's a great question. And thanks so much. That's really nice of you to say. That's what we were trying to do. We really wanted to, find our niche and hit that. Like, as weird as it is, I say it a lot of times, we kind of wanted to be like the Cheers of like Naples, where everybody knows who you are. And we have our servers have been with us for a long time. John, Jessica, Kyle, Casey, Glenn's been with me for 10 years. So it's like, I feel like we really created an environment where everybody wants to be, and we have to work with each other 40 hours a week, so it's one of those things where everybody really likes being together. So that's helpful. And then, there's like a couple weird things, but like one was while we were going through the process, I eat healthier. I've always eaten healthier. I like salads. I just like, that's the way I like to eat. And at the time, my mom that we were building out, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so there was a lot of this conversation. Books were being written by, Michael Pollan, and a lot of these kind of, now we sort of take it for granted, and we're all seeing it on Instagram and all that stuff. But at the time,
it was new information.
It was brand new. And we were like, okay, well, maybe if we just cut out sugar, and maybe if we, look at healthy fats instead of looking at fats this way. So it was really sort of a real shift in the way that everybody was looking at things. And so it was something that I wanted to bring to Naples. It was just like, so to do it for 13 years it's really kind of interesting because, my two oldest were, I think, 2 and 3 when we started, and now they're, 15, 16 years old, and they're obsessed with, like eating healthy. And they like, just if they don't have a salad for a couple days, they'll be like, oh my God, I'm losing my mind, and it's cool for them to see that.
Yeah.
Which I will say is like weird, because when I first started, and I guess I'll just say, like, this is like kind of a weird way to look at it, but I noticed that when we first opened, there were a lot of women bringing their daughters in. And it was kind of like, oh, that's interesting. Like the moms were showing their daughters how to eat properly. And we didn't really get that from men. Men would walk by and be like, I'm not eating that kind of food. I don't want to eat healthy.
Yeah.
And now I think it's switched a lot. And I think that
Wow.
there's a lot of, focus on everybody eating healthy. And so at first it was like, okay, this is kind of cool, but how do we move this to the boys,
Yeah.
And now my kids kind of see it that way. And I think that there's a definite shift in that mindset. But when we first started, it was kind of, we were definitely swimming upstream, It was sort of like going against the grain. And so it's really cool now that I think people have kind of embraced it and seen that. And we have True Food Kitchen, and we have, now we have Sprouts in our shopping center. So there's a lot of synergy that's happening, which I think people could look at it as competition. But realistically, I think that the more of it, the better.
That's right. Because
Sure.
people, it helps that the food tastes damn good.
Thanks.
You don't make bad tasting healthy food. Like I think that's a stigma that maybe not, but it's kind of shifted a bit. Like now it's, healthy, yes, is trendy, but it tastes really good.
Thank you.
At your restaurant.
Thank you.
It doesn't always taste good at other places. And I think that's maybe what shifted in the perspective of, like Robbie, who you met, my fiance, he likes to eat healthy, but because that's what I like to do. But when you make really good, fresh sourdough pizza, with fresh prosciutto and what else was on there? Peaches, maybe?
Yeah. I mean,
Peaches.
we've
Or
done that at
it's-
times. Yeah. Right now, I think
Amazing.
we've got,
I'm
yeah.
like, yeah, is it, yeah, you're still eating pizza, but even he was like, yeah, I don't feel that heaviness. And I'm like, yeah, this is good. This is
good quality
it's
stuff.
appealing, right? Because
Right.
it's fucking delicious. Excuse
Yeah.
my language. It really
Thank
is.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. And I mean, I feel like, I don't know. I mean, I got to give a shout out to Chef Glenn too, because it's good working with people that kind of see your vision and I can say something
Yeah.
and he'll kind of like, now I don't even really have to say anything to him. We'll just sort of like look at each other and be like, yeah, we're going to do this, right? Or, you know, whatever. So, really having people in my corner that I'm able to work with and build relationships with. And, you know, it's sort of like a precedence after time, you know, it's like, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. And so, you know, healthy food doesn't need to taste boring. There are ways to, you know, to play around with it to make it taste better. So, you know,
Yeah. And if you don't believe him, go try out some of
Yeah,
his
yeah.
some of your stuff, even on your appetizer menu, your starter menu. I'm like, pea pancakes.
pea pancakes.
Pea pancakes.
Yeah.
So they kind of look like a little crab cake almost.
Yeah,
But it's
little
made out of
English pea
peas
pancakes. Yeah.
with goat's cheese and
We had like a little bit of crab. I'm sorry, you're catching me up, putting me on the
Sorry.
spot. Blue crab, a little bit of charred corn, some creme fraiche,
okay.
and we make all that stuff in house. So
And
it's,
it
you know,
is so good.
yeah,
So
you talk
good.
about swimming upstream a little bit. I mean, and the origins of kind of being different in the space. Was that something that intimidated you up front of like the challenge of, because anybody can go to Cisco or to the big distributors and be like, hey, get me all of the things that I need and one-stop shop it. But coming and grabbing stuff locally and maybe not having as many options as you might from, you know, a bigger distributor, was that a tough challenge up front for you to deal with?
you know, I would say that like my farmer that I work with the most is so cool. We don't do it anymore, but in the first, I'd say 4 or 5 years, we would look through like seed catalogs, like Johnny's seed catalogs out of Maine. And we would pick seeds and he'd say, what do you want to try this year? And I'd say, all right, let's try some escarole. Let's try these salt and pepper cucumbers. Let's try, you know, and so we would actually select those seeds and then he would try to grow those items for us. Sometimes
Wow.
they would work, sometimes they wouldn't work, but we would start there. And then the next year he'd say, hey, you know what? Unfortunately, these didn't really work out. It started raining and we had a caterpillar problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so then he would kind of, you know, change a little bit and we'd say, well, what about these? And so because of that, actually it turned into this really cool thing where, for example, we use like an Asian spinach. He uses something called Yucchina Savoy. And what he does is so it's an Asian sort of spinach green. And it is set up just the way that it's set up is that it works better in a hot and wet climate.
Ah,
Right. So
perfect.
we get another month of growing season out of it. And so we kind of learned a lot of this stuff through that, you know, where normally if I was just buying the same old thing, you would know. It's like, oh, this tastes like it just came out of a bag. Whereas
Right.
when Nick grows it, it's like, it's so different. It's so unique. You know, we even leave the little stems on it just to make people aware of like what we're doing and everything like that. And I feel like they taste better that way. But we've set up like sort of a precedence of, you know, what grows and what doesn't grow. Now he like sells all that stuff at the farmer's market. So I think that it helps him out.
Right.
He learned something from what we were trying to do.
Such a symbiotic relationship
Yeah.
that has created from an early standpoint.
It's really great.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there's like now he'll come up and say, hey, I've got a couple cases of this. Can you take it off of our hands? And Glenn and I will scratch our head and go, yeah, I guess we can make a soup out of it, or we can do this or that, like Seminole pumpkins or something, you know, sometimes watermelon, sometimes squash. You know, there's a lot of things that work and grow later into the season that I think he's playing around with. Right now, I mean, I'm kind of joking about this, but I feel like Nick is doing this to the point where now he's just sort of trying to preserve his vacation time. So he's like, that's not working anymore, whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, realistically, it's
great.
like, it really is a cool relationship working with him. And he'll kind of let us know, what he's planning on doing. And if we're planning on doing something different on the menu, like last year, we had an escarole Caesar, and we were like, hey, we really love the way that your escarole turns out. And so he started planning that, or started germinating in, I'd say, late July, early August. So,
And on that note, do you typically take I know you incorporate what is seasonal,
yeah.
right, and into your recipes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you make up a recipe first and then, outsource the ingredients? Or is it oftentimes like, this is what's in season now, our menu is shifting, and we're going to make the recipe based on what is available and fresh?
I think at first I just kind of started like, I don't even know how to say this, but just kind of getting a little wacky with it, where it was like, hey,
Yeah.
this is cool. I like these two flavors together. Let's start this. I mean, I don't want to like toot my own horn or whatever, but like sauces and dressings are really come easy to me. And I have like a natural ability to kind of do stuff like that, where people are like, how did you come up with that? And I'm like, I don't even know. Like,
Yeah,
I just
it's my
sort of threw it
superpower.
together. I just did
Yeah.
it, And
I mean,
so
that speaks to being a chef, right? Like, that's the
Right.
difference. That is like one of the many differences. But like, no, there's no way.
I
I'm
honestly,
like, honey and mustard?
it's something,
Original.
it's
You know,
something
like-
that just started a long
Let me
time
pitch you
ago.
something. Chick-fil-A sauce. Right? Pretty good?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just weird. It's like, I feel like it's just something that comes naturally to me. And so I kind of lean into it, but,
Yeah, I want to take a step back now
Sure.
because we know you as Chef Jeff Mitchell of the local, but you weren't always a chef, right? This wasn't always the plan, or was it? Tell us.
it kind of was
Bring us back
actually.
a little bit. It was.
Well, I mean, it depends on how far back you go.
Well, I know
Like,
your parents had an Italian restaurant that did really well.
Yep.
And won awards and all these things.
Yep.
So you were in it as a child?
It was really my grandparents.
Okay.
And like, as like a weird, I don't even know if I put it in the thing, but it's like weird. Like, most Italians were in construction.
Right.
My grandfather, when he was like younger, he fell, broke his elbow, and his elbow like fused together. So when he came to the United States, he could not work construction. He just didn't have the ability to do it. So he started getting a job he got a job in a restaurant, and holding a saute pan was easy for him because he didn't need to bend his elbow. And he was just like a really good cook. I think that it was like a poverty thing. And I grew up in their restaurant.
Okay.
It was in Detroit. Detroit is not a very safe place. When they started getting older, the restaurant was like broken into a bunch of times, and they had all these problems with just like safety, And so when my grandparents died, my parents sold the restaurant, and my mom was always an amazing cook. I think she got a lot of that from my grandparents. And so it was always kind of this thing in the background where I always thought her food was really good. But, like when you have like Christmas or Easter, like I was like, oh God, I can't wait. My mom's making this and my mom's making that. Well, my cousins would say like, oh, we can't wait. Your mom's, it was like, I thought I was the only one that thought that. Like,
doesn't everyone's
it's
mom
my
know how to
mom,
cook
you
this
know, like,
good? Yeah.
but I knew really quick that she was sort of looked at in a higher regard than even all these other Italian ladies, you know? And so I think she tried really hard with it. It's something that we always talked about. She taught me how to cook when I was like, I'd say 8 or 9 years old. She started kind of showing me things like, hey, when you're sauteing something, the onion's got to go before the garlic, because if you throw the garlic in first, that's going to burn. And so there's a lot of this stuff that I just had in my, in my repertoire that I was like, oh yeah, I guess.
I'm learning that today at 34
Yeah.
years old. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Garlic second.
But yeah, so I think that there's a lot of that stuff when it came to that, that I just knew how to do. But I was going to school for psychology, and I was like, thinking that was going to be my path. And I ended up doing a Knowles course, like National Outdoor Leadership School.
Okay.
And we did like a little 6-month trip to Patagonia.
That's right. That was the story I was hoping you would bring up.
And
This is
so
cool.
while I was on that trip, you're camping. So like you have a pot that's like that thin. You've got a stove that's either on or off. and people are burning stuff. And like the first night of really when you're out there, the only thing that you have is food and a warm sleeping bag.
Right.
If the sleeping bag's cold, you're screwed.
Yeah.
If the food's burnt, you're screwed. And you're just feeling like depressed, like, oh man, I gotta make it through till tomorrow.
Yeah.
And
so you were the most valuable person on that trip.
yeah, so I knew how to cook, and
Yeah.
people were kind of like, man, they started fighting to be in my tent group. And it wasn't because of my personality. It was because it was like, oh, geez, he's going to make something good at night.
Yeah.
And so one of my instructors told me, they were like, you should consider going into like the culinary field. Like, you obviously have a passion for it. We'd have like a rainy day and people were like reading books. And I was like making gnocchi out of like, powdered potatoes and stuff like that. It was like, oh, this is going to be fun.
In Patagonia.
Like, what are
just
you
like
doing?
in a tent. Yeah, no. That's unique. It's special.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of how I started thinking about it. And then when I got out of that course, my best friend was actually going to the CIA just randomly. And we ended up like living together for a little while he was doing his internship. And yeah, he was just like, maybe you should consider doing this. So I went to his graduation. I kind of started talking to my parents about it. They were like, no, we're not sending you to culinary school. You're doing this. But I don't know. I started working in kitchens and so it was weird because even though I had that background of being in the restaurant business, I never really thought about it until like that point. I was like, maybe this is natural for me. Maybe I shouldn't be doing psychology. Maybe this is my path. And then I kind of embraced it, and it was
so
like,
happy
all right.
you did.
Yeah. Thank you.
Speak on behalf of a lot of people.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
And then to open a business as well, it takes a whole nother venture, right? So
yeah.
you know how to cook and you're amazing at it and your food tastes good, but then the element of a restaurant in a place like Naples, what do you prefer? Do you prefer being a business owner or a chef?
I mean, I'm pretty weird. Like I usually like to stay behind the scenes just because that's kind of who I am. I'm not really like the most outgoing person in that regard.
Yeah, this was a very heavy lift, everybody. No, I'm kidding. But we're honored to have you on because I know you're more behind the scenes kind of guy.
Yeah. And so I also know, like, I feel like I'm not a dictator. I'm a collaborator. I really like working well with people, which is like why I do really great with Glenn. And, there's a lot of people on the front of the house that I do really well with. And I know what my lane is. So it's like, I feel like I'm more of the creative person in that regard. But as far as like operations and making sure that things are done the right way, I kind of leave it. I actually take a step back and just, it's not like I try to pass the buck, but in a way it's like, you're better at this than I am. So I just got to like,
that's why I'm
defer.
imagining why you're part of the reason you're successful and that the restaurant's successful. And I know we talked a little bit before we started rolling about how it used to be different, how you'd advertise. So now with social media, obviously, and the main star of the show for a lot of businesses, and food does very well online. What did I say? Like food sells, sex sells. Like it's always been that way, right? So how has that changed your business? Has it made things harder? Has it on a local level too? Because this is a two-parted question. You had Triple D.
Hey.
Yeah.
Your ragu, your short rib ragu, right?
Yeah. Pork ragu, and we did the
delicious.
pastrami sandwich we also had in there.
So clearly you've had some recognition on a national, if not, global level, right? With that show.
Mm-hmm.
And then locally, being the name is local, which I love. But how has social media helped or hurt? Do you have a preference or an opinion on that?
I don't really. I mean, as we were talking, when I first, as I said, I was first looking for employees, and I was advertising in the Naples Daily News. Mm-hmm. So it's like, obviously, this is a huge shift in how now it's like, I don't know, it's just crazy how things have changed. I can't even. It's like light years difference. So, as far as social media, like I really like social media and what it does, but I don't understand it all that much. Like I think I'm a little bit too old. I'm almost 50. So it's just like one of those things where I defer. I have someone help me out with my social media and she does it, they do a great job.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that is like we're taking pictures and we're doing this, which is fun. And I think it looks like a lot more fun than what it is from my perspective. Because for me, it's like that has to look perfect and we have to focus on this. And it's just another, I mean, not in a bad way, but it's another thing that we kind of have to add to the docket every week. And it's like, all right, we got to do this and we got to do that. And we're trying to be perfectionists with it. And sometimes I feel like it works out really great. And sometimes, I feel like it gets lost a little bit, but
well, it's so hard to know, and I can think we can all kind of speak on this, to know what client came in or what lead I have or whatever, and how they found me or saw what did they see, because there's so much out there, so we don't really have a direct line of like this produced that.
Yeah,
which I think is like the mind games that social media can play.
Tangible results.
Yeah, and it's kind of a crapshoot. Yet there are people I know verbatim who go try restaurants because of one dish they saw on social media, and they go for that to try it, to feel like they know more about it. So we just don't know where it comes from.
It's a blessing and a curse, because I feel like there's a lot of places that I'll look at online and I'll be like, oh, I want to check that place out, and then my wife and I will go to Miami or something like that and check that place out. And it's like the decor was beautiful, but they missed the mark on the food, or the service was terrible, or whatever it is. So it's hard to, they might just have a really good team behind them with social media. So, and you don't really know until you sit down and taste the food and go, all right, this is.
But it got you in the door. You know? So like, that's the whole idea, right?
Exactly.
It got you in the door. I mean.
So sometimes I wonder if we're getting lost in that regard, but not us, just everybody, because there's just so much out there. It's hard to figure out what's authentic and what's not.
But your restaurant has an energy about it. And I want to speak on that a little bit about Naples and how it's obviously changed. And I know we talk about that a lot on the show, but especially in the restaurant scene. You mentioned a couple of places in your bio or in your thing that I had you fill out. Campiello, classic. Skillets, The Bowl, Acopio, Tong Yin. So what are those places in town doing right?
Campiello I got to start with because I worked there for
the D'Amico group,
so long. And honestly, there's a couple dishes, the veal ragu with pappardelle that they have is like the comfort food, like the apex of comfort food for me. That one I could probably have 7 days a week. I wouldn't even blink. And I love that kind of stuff. I just think that to me, I'm a comfort food guy. There's a lot of, tweezer chefs out there that are, putting one little thing on, and it's nice for maybe a date night, but I just don't really eat that way, And so I feel like there's a lot of places that, they just have that longevity. In the Detroit area, we are a lot more, we don't do what Naples does. Naples will have a new restaurant. Everybody goes to that restaurant and gives them a bunch of love. Year 1, year 2, sales tank. Year 3, they go out of business.
Yeah.
And I find that is really sad, honestly, because someone's putting their heart and soul into it. And in Detroit, we kind of do things in a completely different way. We sit back and go, okay, that place is good. Let's see how they are year 2, and we wait a little while to give them love. The places that I feel like are there for 75 years, which one of them just closed down during COVID in this in the Detroit area called Pasquale's. It's like awesome pizza, awesome pasta, but it kind of had more of that like old school vibe where it was like, oh yeah, this place has been here for 75 or 85 years or whatever. So there's a lot of things like that, which I feel like Naples doesn't have, which I feel like Campiello kind of embodies.
For sure. That's a very good point.
Yeah. Some of the other places like, I feel like I mentioned Tong Yin. My wife and I were going there like right when they first opened. I think the owner's name is June. She's super sweet. I guess I love ethnic food and I can't stand that. I don't want to like say anything disparaging, but I don't like that people package like 2 ethnicities together.
Right.
It's like you're doing Thai and Japanese. And it's like,
they've separated them.
Those, like give some respect to the cuisine itself, and I feel like there's a lot of that happens in Naples.
And is kind of a stickiness about it because you're
Yeah.
like, well, let's try this new thing and let's fuse
Yeah,
everything.
these
Let's
these
it has to be
fusions.
fusion of everything. You're like, well, you could just
Yeah.
do one of them and do them really well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like, and that's what people really, at least that's what I really want. You
Right,
know, it's
unless
like,
you're going to a place, and you're the chef here, but we talked about this before, fuse. Like, you go there because you're having fusion.
yeah,
They're fusing
Right.
all kind. I mean, and your cocktail might have, cinnamon toast and bourbon. I mean, like, it's going to taste amazing.
if
We
that's
don't know
what the
why, but-
concept is, great.
Right, but I agree with that. And I haven't
Yeah.
tried tongue in yet. That's another one we got to try.
It's
Oh, yeah,
it's
some of
good. The other thing that I love about it, and I just have to say, is
Yeah.
one of their dishes that they have, and I can't remember what kind of curry it is, but they use chicken thighs. And for me, it's like, ugh, thank God.
Thank
Like, not
God.
another chicken breast.
Right.
Like, I'm good.
That
It's
chicken
just
thighs
dry
also
and all
so
that.
good.
Like, from a chef's perspective, like, that's the real way to go.
Yeah.
You know,
so much more flavor.
and for whatever reason they're doing it, it's the flavor thing, you know.
Yeah.
So I like that. I love the bowl. I love what they're doing. I feel like that's kind of similar to what we're doing. It's like, just really that's what the locals want, you know. And I feel like she's been doing that for 10 years at least now or
Yeah.
more. So I don't know what else I mentioned either, but there's a lot of places
no, it's great. I mean, I know you've been in town a long time and you're in the industry, so it's always we talk about food on the show, no matter who the guest is.
Yeah.
Normally,
Yeah, it
I
comes
think we
up.
may have missed it with Jen. Dang it!
Oh yeah, I'm sure she's
But-
got a
yeah.
laundry list of things.
But to say this, just talk about it with someone who owns a restaurant and is a chef.
Yeah.
This is like extra juicy for us. How has the
Yeah.
restaurant scene changed since you started in Naples?
Oh geez.
How's it not?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like it's completely changed. I don't even know how to it's funny because you mentioned going to steamers, and like, when my wife and I first moved here, we would go to steamers because you could get a salad with a piece of fish on it. And I was like, that's pretty much all I want,
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much the healthiest food that I could find besides going to a grocery store and, getting a oven roasted chicken and making a salad at home or whatever. So the food scene is great. Like, I love that there's, new places and interesting places. I think that I would like to see a little bit more ethnic food. I'd like that a little bit more. But it's I feel like it's a hard road for restaurant owners because rents are expensive, labor's expensive, food costs are expensive. So unless it's really in your heart, it's a hard thing to fake, or
Yeah.
like, I think that there's a lot of people that have romantic visions too. Like, oh, we're foodies,
Right.
we'd like to open up a restaurant, and it's like, bad idea.
Yeah.
Like, unless you can't sleep at night thinking about this,
Right, do
shouldn't
anything
be
else.
involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, do something else.
Our
But
last guest just mentioned how the locals in Naples specifically, and we talk a lot about Southwest Florida in general, but we're really what keeps these businesses afloat because, like restaurants and other businesses in town, it's a seasonal place for a lot of the economy,
Yeah.
right? And so I love that your place is called The Local. The energy there is like you want it to feel like Cheers, and that
Yeah.
whether you're coming, January through May or you're here all year, like it's somewhere where you belong. But the idea of starting a restaurant and not having that piece of like, you have to appeal to the locals if you want to keep your lights on.
It's our bread and
Right?
butter. I mean,
I
it
mean,
really is. And
yeah.
honestly, it's weird too because like the servers, like that's the thing. I love it and I hate it. They'll be like, my servers will be like, they're regulars, and it's like, okay, everybody's a damn regular. It's like sort of one of those things where, but it's not it's a great thing.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. It just, they're usually using it as like, they want something done this way. And it's
Right.
like, okay,
Right.
yep.
Yeah, I guess
Just because they're here
Yeah.
in July does not mean that they can change the menu.
Yeah.
Yeah, but on the other
Right.
hand, it is like,
Yeah.
I feel like we do like a lunch special and a dinner special in summertime to make sure that the locals realize that they are loved, and
Yeah.
like, that's what we're all about. I had that name, The Local, 8 years before I opened the restaurant because it was like, this is really what this town needs.
Ugh.
It just needs like that.
So true.
I don't know. It's really cool. I would love to get a place open in Bonita. That's really what
Would love that as
I would
well.
love it. Like, I feel like this is really the local place. This is
Totally.
really like, I'm not saying
Totally
anything
is.
about Naples. I love Naples,
Well, we've been
but
thinking of changing the show name to I Believe in Bonita.
What would that place be
Something.
called if you had to call it something?
I mean, I feel like it's far enough away where we could do
You
something.
call-
We could do another local.
The local.
Okay, yeah,
Hell yeah, I love
okay,
that.
Yeah, yes.
What's a place in town, Naples, again, we talk about it all, so that needs, or you see, like, needs a little more love in the sense where you really appreciate what they do and you'd like others to kind of see the value there.
Well, 5 years ago, I would have said Bonita, but now I feel like
Hell
you guys
yeah.
are getting a lot of recognition, and I feel like just the age bracket, like there's just it's younger. I don't know. I feel like
We all work for a living.
yeah,
You know?
exactly.
It's just kind of like,
Yeah.
It really is like it's
Yeah.
I feel like that's changed a lot. Whereas, 10 years ago, I feel like Bonita was a lot more seasonal than it is now. So,
for sure.
I don't know. I think North Naples has definitely changed into a similar thing. That's where I live.
Yeah.
And it's like, I love North Naples.
I agree.
I don't really go downtown that much anymore just because,
Why?
why would I?
Yeah,
I
unless
don't
you're
want to
going to
sound bad,
Campiello.
but yeah,
You're
exactly.
like-
But yeah, I feel like a lot of those places have really kind of come into their own. So I'm really happy about that.
Yeah.
As far as the next new place, I don't know. I feel like that Bayshore area is kind of pretty cool and up and coming. And there's some really neat stuff over there.
Totally.
Sure.
A lot of that, like where it used to be like a diamond in the rough, or is like kind of, I feel like that's what it's turning into. People are recognizing like, hey, this is a cool spot. This is a cool
Yeah.
spot. We need to give a little bit more love over here. And so I think that, I personally think that developers need to realize that, and the real estate people need to realize that. Like, shout out to commercial, but it's
Yeah.
like they have to realize that people in Naples do not want any more of these big box chains. They're tired of
No.
them. They want, kind of what we're doing, what
Yeah.
Vincenzo's doing, what Kayla's doing, what a lot of these,
Right. Lowbrow. Like, they
Yeah.
want these.
There's a ton of pride in seeing those businesses thrive as well. I think from a local perspective of like seeing those local business owners do well,
Right.
especially despite the saturation of these bigger larger chains. You're like, to see a Kayla, to see a Jeff Mitchell thrive makes us so much more proud as patrons, as locals.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we like brag about it, right? I mean,
Yeah, or just keep coming to the restaurants,
That's
because
all,
that's really
right.
the big thing too. Is
Yeah.
it's like I think that putting likes on Instagram and putting your little heart on there is great, but like supporting the restaurants, because that's really what it's all about. I will say this: there's a lot of times that I've had an opportunity to go into a shopping center or go into a location, and I've been cut out by a bigger, they've got a little bit more capital and it's like, yeah, but what are they doing for the area? Like
Right.
nobody wants another one of those places in
No.
there. So
we
I
don't
think
need
that
another furniture store.
everybody needs to
What the
realize
hell are we
it, you know?
doing? Don't even
You said it.
get me started. Yeah, use that in the ad.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready for some little rapid fire? It's like
Sure.
this or that. Okay. Do you want to say these, Jay?
Sure, I'll
Yeah.
rip them.
There they are. Rip them off.
Okay, rapid fire.
It's fun. We're doing this as like a new segment.
Okay, we're gonna throw this at you right off the bat. Favorite thing on your menu?
Oh,
That was rude. That's
like,
not
that
even
was
the
a-
first
that
one
was a
on there.
rude-
I thought it was a this or that.
Wait.
This or that, whatever 15 things you want to. Yeah.
I'd say the pork ragu with
It's
gnocchi.
pork ragu.
Delicious.
I mean that sounds.
It's even
So
good
good.
left over. Like, it's just, if you have too much on your.
Probably better leftover.
I mean,
yeah.
let's be honest.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. The lamb stroganoff's good too. I like those two dishes.
Yeah, that both sounds amazing. I'm gonna find myself there. Most underrated ingredient.
Jesus,
So you're on an island.
these are not this
You
or
need-
that.
Oh, shit. I thought they were. I think
There are some this or that's, but the top two.
honestly, lemon juice.
Lemon
I feel
juice.
like lemons are like the most underrated thing, because it's just
I
like,
was just saying this last night.
Yeah.
I love lemon. I love lemon flavor.
it's weird because I feel like we have it in our logo, which had nothing. I didn't even like think that wasn't really. My sister actually came up with the logo, and I just like using lemon juice in dressings. I feel like it brightens a lot of things up. We'll use the zest for things. So for me, it's just like really a integral ingredient that we use for just a lot of things. But everybody's always like, geez, you guys are obsessed with lemons. And it's like, yeah, okay, I guess I am. You know, like, I don't
Yeah,
know
what do you
else
want
to
from me?
say.
It
Like,
tastes
When life
good.
gives you
so-
delicious.
Yeah.
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 Open a restaurant. Coffee or espresso? I think
Coffee.
that would be drip, right? Yeah, drip coffee.
Yeah.
Wow, you're a coffee over
I'm a coffee guy. Yeah.
as an Italian.
Honestly, I'm like obsessed with these like single origin coffees.
Oh.
Like
Okay.
I said, the Copio
Yeah.
place. Like
Copio is
every
amazing.
single time I go there, I'm like, oh, I don't even know what to do. Like I'll get this one this way. You know,
Yeah.
what do they have? Like the pour overs and all
Right.
of these different. I don't even care.
Those guys.
They're just
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, I
Like, they
awesome.
really are awesome. They're so expressive. The beans are so different.
Yeah.
Like I go crazy about that stuff. My wife thinks I'm just crazy. Like,
No, I
she's
love
like,
it.
"What
And
are
their
you
pastries
doing?"
are pretty good too.
They're awesome. Like
Yeah.
honestly,
Got empanadas
more,
there.
more of it. Like if
Yes.
I could go every day, if I had the time to go every day, I would be there every day. I love
love
that
it.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of, especially in the coffee world, but just in general, when you're going to go to a place and you know that the people behind it are nerds about it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they have the little sniffy things there, and
Oh,
like
yeah.
they got a whole paragraph on where the coffee's from. Like all of that, I'm like, yes,
Yes.
that means you care.
It's an experience, right? Because we're so lucky to live in this time frame where we have all these instant demands, and so but the people really want the experience. So
I mean,
how do
30
you give
years
it to
ago,
them?
we were doing, Folgers crystals and I mean, all
Literally,
this kind
nobody
of stuff.
said
Like
shit.
now it's completely different. The espresso thing, someone told me this a long time ago, and this is why I kind of stopped drinking espresso. But
Here we go.
what I heard is that like the dark roasts, like so the French roast, the Italian roast, and a lot of the espresso roasts, they actually use inferior beans. Someone that knows more about coffee can tell me this, but from what I've heard, they use inferior beans and they over roast them to mask the flavor of the beans. So if you're getting a light roast or a medium roast, those are harder to you have to have perfect beans for that because
Oh.
the flaws just come right out. And
That
so
kinda makes sense.
yeah, so I started, okay, this makes sense. So
Yeah.
I do a more concentrated but a lighter roast.
Okay.
And that's kind of how I roll.
That's
with it.
probably how I would like coffee too.
Yeah,
But I always
it's-
go to dark roast because I want it to be really bold.
Just more concentrated.
Okay.
You just need a little
more
just add
coffee.
one more scoop.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
I'm a light roast guy too, but I'll take it as weak as possible so I can have more of it.
There you
Oh,
go.
there you go.
Quantity.
That's a good
A
strategy.
volume coffee drinker.
yeah. Okay, so a little bit more of this or that. Sweet or savory?
Savory.
Okay, that sounds right with your menu selections that you
Yeah.
just added there. One thing you always have in your refrigerator?
Yogurt.
Lemons.
Lemons. Favorite place to watch a sunset?
That's got to be in the mountains somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm a mountain guy. I know I live in Florida, but
We just have beautiful sunsets here.
Yeah.
But mountain, which range? No, I'm kidding.
I love Utah. I
Okay.
love Utah. Yeah, I love skiing. I'm a big ski bum, so
Oh,
I know weird.
that makes one of us. For me, do you ski, Jay?
Yeah, my snowbird, but whatever, doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Either one is good enough. I'm right there with you.
Okay.
I know I
Love
should
being
say
on that.
like the Naples Pier, but it's like
No,
for
it hasn't
favorite
been
sunset.
around.
But
we
I
haven't had one for
Yeah.
so many years now. I forgot that was even a thing.
yeah,
No, I do love a sunset on like the Naples beach though, versus other beaches I've been to. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh damn, we have a pretty, especially this time of year
yeah,
where it rains at like 2 or 3 o'clock, and then by 8:30, and mind you, you can have dinner and it's still light out to go to sunset. Love it.
Ideal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
That is one thing that those snowbirds miss out on
That's
for sure.
damn true.
And
it's
especially
windy,
after the rain, you got that, I don't know, the
Oh.
sky's doing all kinds of fun things.
fuchsia and purple, and it's just like, and it's also not very hot by the beach. I think we forget about that.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you're at the beach at like 8:30 at night, it's actually kind of nice. There's like, I mean, you're still in a tank top and shorts, but there's a breeze.
Mm-hmm.
Just gotta shout out that really quick because we get a lot of shit for our
Beach at
summers.
night.
And
No,
actually
it
the-
is nice by the beach.
yeah,
Yeah.
but mountains all day for you.
Okay. Yeah.
We
What's
already-
one food trend you're ready to see disappear?
Ooh,
Get rid of it.
Oh,
be gone.
Mm-hmm.
that's a tough one.
You won't hurt our feelings.
I'm trying to think of
'Cause we're not in the
what are happening right now as far as
I
trends.
mean, food trends. I
or
don't
something that maybe
know.
a fad lately.
I
mean,
feel like
sourdough,
honestly
but he said sourdough the whole time.
this is gonna be bad. This is gonna be bad. Jeez.
We can cut it.
Okay.
No,
All right.
no,
Let
say
it
it,
rip. Let
say
it
it.
rip. Tell them.
Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of food trucks. Like a lot of times, like
Okay.
I feel like it's not, I don't want to like, but it's like one of those things where I feel like it's always missing something. And I don't know if it's just like the
Like
ones that I've been
silverware
to.
or
I'm
like
sorry.
ingredients?
Just like, this is really bad. You probably should cut it. Like,
Okay.
like,
No, you don't have
this
to
is
say it if you
really-
don't want to, but I mean, like, every
No,
food
I
truck's
just-
different.
Well,
like
this
the,
leads me to
the food truck like pop-up thing to me is just
Okay.
like, I guess from my perspective, like I've worked so hard to like get a brick and mortar and all of the things that go along with that.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't like food trucks, but it's also like one of those things where I feel like it entices a lot of people like unrealistically. So a lot of people will come up to me and they'll be like, have you ever thought of opening up a food truck? And it's like, no. Like,
I can't
I
do
mean,
my
I thought about it
menu
for a
at
quarter of a second. And then I'm like, if something breaks, you got to fix it there.
Yeah.
I don't like standing in a kitchen in the first place that
Let
much.
alone,
So
you
now
know,
stand in a
20
box
square feet,
where
yeah.
it's like, all this stuff. And I just feel like it always ends up like being more of a novelty thing rather than like, being able to encompass like an entire
Well, it's not a
ingredient
restaurant.
list.
Well, that
Yeah.
leads me to an important thing that I was thinking about earlier when you were talking about, starting a restaurant. I know there's a lot of individuals that see that as step one. That
Like a
go,
food truck,
yeah, that I
step
do
one?
food truck first, or I do pop up, or I do tent, or whatever, small type of attempt at my dream. But really, the goal is to have the brick and mortar.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to one of those people? Starting out that is a little intimidated of the whole brick and mortar thing, of the high rents type of thing.
Let me just take a step back too. Like a lot of people too will say like, "Oh, this is so great. The local's awesome." Like, you must be living your dream or something like that. And it's like, if you not to sound bad, if you think the local is my dream, you guys are nuts. Like, I mean, my dream would be to have a restaurant the size of Camp Yellow or something along those lines. Like,
Sure.
so it's
Yeah.
always a stepping stone, right?
Sure.
For me, it just is one of those things where I also think it's kind of sad too, a lot of times where people are trying to get in. Naples is not the environment for a food truck, in my opinion. Maybe in some of the places like, what's it called? Celebration Park or something
Yeah.
like that. Maybe that makes sense.
Or like
but-
events, Bonita has a lot of like these health and wellness events, or like
Right.
a brewery. It's nice to have like a burger truck there where you just do burgers and fries.
But if the burger truck doesn't show up, then what's
Oh,
the brewery
then you're
doing?
screwed.
Then they're
no,
sitting
you're
around.
screwed.
So you lived in LA for a while.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that's a scene where like the food truck makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Like where it's like, oh, okay, we're just letting everybody know that
Totally.
we're going to be at this building. Everybody dumps out of the building and they're all getting,
It's true,
something
and I will
like
say
that.
like there's only a few. Like we'd always go back to the same ones.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. There's a reason for that. There's a reason the halal guys in New York City every day for the last 2 decades have had. I mean, and it's real.
Killing it.
Killing
the
it.
block.
Why
Yeah.
would they ever stop? And so
Yeah.
I feel like if you can do like only doubles burgers, smash burgers,
Yep.
they're outside of Brookside, they come over here and they do literally their menu only doubles.
Yep.
And they've perfected it, and that is all, and you get a bag of chips and thank you so much.
And it's perfect.
And that's
Yeah.
it. So like I feel like if it's one thing, but if it's a full menu, there's no way, like how would Sorry, you were answering Jay's question, but I just
No, I no, but I asked you because I feel like LA is a
Yeah.
good scene for that. New York's a good scene for that. And I
Sure.
feel like just because food trucks are a thing in those cities, it doesn't necessarily make it doesn't make sense in it, at least from what I've seen, a lot of it doesn't make sense in Naples. And again, I feel bad like saying any of this stuff
but
because
there's
it's
not a lot of
like,
pedestrian traffic as it is, unless you're in like Bonita or like a pocket of Naples where you can be
Yeah.
on foot the way you are in New York City, the way some areas are in LA. But to walk from point A to point B, I mean, everything already is a 10-minute drive apart. So you don't really, to drive to a food truck,
yeah,
it just,
I sort of feel that way. I feel like, but again, I've gone to food trucks in New York and gone to food trucks around, and it's like, this is just what you're saying. This is killer. Like, I love this. I could do this all day long. But otherwise, like, I just sort of, I don't know.
yeah.
I feel bad saying it, but it just is, it's because I don't want to like discourage anybody. Like if it is their dream, if that's their stepping stone, that's great. And I mean, getting a brick and mortar is not easy. It's hard. You got to be able to read through the leases. You got to be able to, you need capital. You need capital for when you open up to pay the employees. You got to have some in reserve for the summertime. You got to play your cards right.
For
So it is
sure.
difficult, but as far as like the pop-up and all that kind of stuff, I feel like that was a big deal during COVID. And it was always just sort of like, okay, this is great. Maybe it works in other places, but I just don't think it really would work over here or,
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my
And maybe that plays into the other thing that maybe you weren't so thrilled about, which is the constant need to make a gimmick out of your menu and put two things together that don't necessarily go, but you're just like, I need to have a little bit of this and a little bit of that so that everybody's happy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of some of the issue that maybe food trucks have, is that I'm just trying to collect all the patrons and I'm not actually trying to serve them properly.
Yeah.
But I just want whoever's walking down the street to come try my thing.
Yeah. Right.
But
We're not
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. One more on the ingredient side. We talked about lemon being the one you always have. What's one you refuse to use? One ingredient you refuse to use? You think is just worthless.
Worthless.
Worthless. Cinnamon.
No.
I love cinnamon.
How dare you?
No, I don't think there's any like one.
Just trying to spice it up a
There's
bit.
not like really any one ingredient. I mean, I guess like, yeah, I don't know if I have an answer for that one. I feel like there's a lot of like, I don't know.
That is a hard question.
That's a really
Yeah.
tough one.
Well, yeah, I don't know if you'd have one in the back of your head that you're just
I
like,
guess there was one thing that I am like very sensitive to, and like it does drive me nuts. It's not like an ingredient per se, but like I'm really not a big fan of like raw garlic unless it's like used in that moment.
Okay.
So I feel like it's a very cloying note. And so I always do like with a lot of my dishes, like if I have a dressing that has garlic in it, we roast the garlic.
Gotcha.
So it's like
Okay.
sort of one of those things, like not to sound gross, but I always, maybe it's just my digestive system, but I kind of always have that like where I'm burping up
Yeah,
like raw
reflux.
garlic.
Yeah.
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 Oh, that was really good. It tasted really good, but I can't. And I know that I'm weird about it because I'll like talk to Glenn about it. I'll be like, well, we got to roast the garlic. And he'll be like, why? And it's like, well, today it tastes good, but
Yeah.
tomorrow or the next day, if we're using that dressing or we're using that sauce, like it's just
Yeah.
off,
Yeah.
So
Harsh flavor. Yeah.
that's one thing. Otherwise, like I feel like they're ingredients for a reason. There's always a place for them.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it might not work for my food, or whatever, but the nice part about the local is we didn't pigeonhole ourselves and say, this is an Italian restaurant. So we have some Asian flavors. We have some, Mediterranean flavors. We have Italian flavors. We can kind of do whatever we want. So there's a lot of stuff, we do use miso. We do use garlic. We do use,
It's so good.
mirin, but we don't, we just kind of have, I don't know. I have weird things about them where it's
Sure.
like, I don't want people to walk away with that negative
yeah.
impression of it. So
Yeah.
No, it's delicious. And like one of my favorite desserts in town. Oh my God. Getting hungry talking. The banana bread. I'm going to mess this up. No, banana bread pudding.
Yeah.
With Heath bar.
yep,
A little bit of crunch in there.
God.
it's decadent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is so good. And I was a huge fan when I lived in New York of Magnolia Bakery. Have you been?
Yes.
Their banana bread pudding also amazing. But that was probably, they're very different, but it gave me that same kind of like, holy shit, this is like unreal.
Mm-hmm.
It's so
Something
good.
about cooked bananas.
Seriously.
Yeah, they're really good. I don't know what it is.
And
I'm like as like weird as it sounds, like my kids will even say this, like, we'll get like, shit, I eat healthy. And then I'm talking about Laffy Taffies,
Yeah,
but like
right.
if I get like the fake
Yeah.
banana Laffy Taffies, I'm like, those are mine.
That's
Like,
great, yeah.
don't touch them,
Don't touch 'em, that's awesome.
My wife gets the cherry ones and then my sons get to fight over the rest of them. But like something about like that even artificial banana flavor I like. I just
Yeah.
like banana. I don't know what
Yeah,
it is. It's
it's
delicious.
good.
So
It's really
I'm
good.
with you on that. So we asked you a couple maybe negative ones on those this or that's, but now I want to just shift gears into what, you've been doing this for over a decade, decades, in your whole culinary career. What gets you excited these days? What keeps you the fire lit?
Well, you mentioned like halal food. Like I love Middle Eastern food. It probably is my favorite. My kids are like annoyed beyond belief about it because whenever I'm home, it's tabbouleh, it's fattoush, it's like lamb. It's like, that's just what we do. So that gets me excited. A lot of like, my my favorite thing to do now, like if I go, my sister has a place in Denver and they have a place in Avon. So like if we go skiing, like I'll pack a cooler filled with like local Florida fish, like cobia and redfish and, sheep's head or whatever we'll get our hands on from the day boat fishermen. That's always a big thing for me too, because it's like really cool to introduce. I feel like everybody just knows Florida as grouper or snapper. And it's like, yeah, those are great. I'm not knocking either of those fish, but there's kind of a lot of stuff out there. So kind of playing around with things like that are a lot of fun for me and just introducing that to people.
That is fun.
Yeah, which I feel like is just something that we have that's unique. Ice creams are really kind of interesting. I feel like I have a lot of fun playing around with that.
Do you make your own ice cream?
I did for a long time, Glenn.
With like a Ninja Creamy or
no,
like?
I would make it. I
Sure
like
not.
cheat and have like this super like weird recipe for the base, and then we kind of play around with it. But I feel like Glenn gets annoyed with me because I'll make something, and then like it's up to them to sell, like it's up to everybody else to sell it, and then he'll pull it out of the freezer and he'll be like, all right, what are we doing now,
Right.
It's
You're like,
oh, sorry about that, that's a coffee toffee crunch ice cream that we're doing
yeah.
with a little bit of this, and
Delicious,
so
yeah.
we have fun with that. But again, he's more of an operations guy, so like keeping the menu the same and doing that kind of stuff. But I do love playing around with ice creams and desserts and stuff like that, even though I said that savory was my favorite.
Yeah.
I feel like when I kind of start messing around, those are things that I really like to do a lot.
Yeah. Just constant experimentation. That's part of the joy of it. Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, just taking one really good item, like if Nick has strawberries and being like, all right, we'll do a strawberry basil ice cream, or we'll do this or that. I don't do it as much anymore, but those are things that I really have a lot of fun with. I feel like Milk Bar, like Christina Tosi, she does a lot of really cool stuff with like cereal milk and this and that. And I feel like just starting to go down that rabbit hole and think about that kind of stuff is like awesome. It's like there's a lot of Americana that's really a lot of fun with cereals and with some of the candy that we've, things like that we've used over the years that are a lot of fun. So I think that's cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really happy you made that point. The like Americana in the culinary
because
scene,
it's
like that's
so
so
unique.
Cool. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm so happy you came on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Did you have something else, Jay? I'm sorry.
Well, I'm
starving
I
after
know,
this
so
conversation.
gotta have to cut her off because otherwise we're gonna have lunch. Last thing, I guess, from my perspective is, you are the local. You've been around for over a decade. What is your pitch to the people of Naples to come try you out if they haven't already? Camera's right there.
I don't know, you put me on the spot on this one. Just give us a try, and see what ingredients we're using and what we're doing, seasonally for the restaurant.
Yeah.
It's so good. You won't regret going. It's got something for everybody too. And I just want to mention that really quick. If you have family coming to town, or you have somebody with different allergies, whether it's gluten or someone who chooses to eat vegan or whatever, you have something for everybody. And that was something I noticed when you first opened, was like, who knows if it's just because you guys are still around, but I remember seeing the key on the bottom with like VE is vegan or whatever, the plant symbol.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're so accustomed to that, like you said, but
Right.
10, 15 years ago, like that wasn't really a thing.
Yeah.
So
We didn't know what GF was. We thought it was girlfriend.
yeah, GF was girlfriend. Still is. No.
We had
yeah.
a lady that came into the restaurant, and this is sort of the story of that. She would have a card. This was when I worked at Lurcott, and she had a card. Oh my God, Lurcott. I know. I miss it too. And I mean, it was awesome, but she would hand us this card every, I don't know, Thursday or Friday night or whatever, and it had a list of food allergies. And I was managing at the time, and the servers would be like, oh, I got so-and-so. And I was like, guys, she's not her fault. She's got allergies.
Right.
Like, that's just what's going on.
And she still wants to dine out. And so it's a big deal.
And so we did whatever she wanted to do. That was just our attitude at Lurcott. We would just do whatever and she started eating at the restaurant like 3 days a week. And I was like, you know what? If I'm just nice to people and give them what they want and don't make a big deal about the food allergies, try to help them.
They're going to keep coming back.
You've got a patron for life.
That's exactly right. We had a ton of those in LA when I worked in the restaurant industry. Yeah, people are like, yeah, they have so many vegan options. It's like, yes, because everyone comes in with a card. No, not everyone, but so take that with what you will.
Yeah.
It's like we have it pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. But I think it's just a great option for those folks. Like I have my best friend when they come visit, and she's vegan. And so, it's not a huge stretch anymore, but at the same time it is. It's like we do have limited options where she's not just going to have a substitute of something. Like
or
there's something on the menu
for
her.
Yeah.
For her.
Like that is, I mean, take it or leave it. It's a really great feature. And we had something vegan, which we're not vegan, but we just like tried it. And I was like, it's just really good food. Like there's no difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're so happy you came on.
Thanks for inviting me. Appreciate
Everybody
it.
go check out The Local. How can we find you? The Local Naples?
Yep.
Right?
TheLocalNaples.com.
The Local Naples. And on Instagram,
At
at The Local
Local
Naples,
I'm
I
pretty
think.
sure, yeah.
I was gonna say,
Okay.
punch in any of those keywords, it'll come up, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Well, thank you so much,
Yeah.
Chef, for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yay.